There are two contradictory statements written on the board. The first statement is feudalism did not exist in South India because there was no dearth of cash. Now, the second statement is that land grants were given to both Brahmins and the non-Brahmins. The reason for giving the grants to the Brahmins was simple: to revive Brahmanism and to expel Buddhism. Whereas you give land grants to non-Brahmins in order to pull them back to the folds of Brahmanism. So what actually is happening is you have Brahmanical gods plus you have now non-Brahmanical gods. When these two gods meet, now you do not have Brahmanism, you call it Hinduism. This process of adding these together is called Bhakti movement. That is the reason why Bhakti movement begins in 6th century South India, not in North India. It's a very important sheet because that is the crux of the early medieval South India. From here the discussion will begin. To pull them back into the folds of Brahmanism. मीनिंग का डर्थ का मीनिंग बताना है. लैक ऑफ. एक काम करना है आप लोग, अगली बार से एक डिक्शनरी भी साथ रखना. मोबाइल है, उसका इस्तेमाल नहीं करेंगे, नहीं तो मोबाइल हो जाएंगे जीवन में. The problem is I only have to speak in English. And the issue is your English is poor. All right. Understood? Now we have to understand these points. Why do not they have the dearth of cash? All right. So begin. Right now we have to focus only on the southern part of the peninsula because we have concentrated on the upper half. प्रशांत, आपके बार-बार पूछने से मैं जवाब तो नहीं दूंगा. आपने पूछा ओनली ताम्रलिप्ति एंड दायबुल क्यों फ्लरिश करता है? बिकॉज दो ही पोर्ट हैं, तुम्हारे पास दो ही हाथ है. तुम सवाल पूछ रहे हो कि तीसरे हाथ से काम क्यों नहीं करते? क्योंकि दो ही हाथ है. Byzantine on one side, China on the other, Southeast Asia here. Why the South Indians do not have a dearth of cash? Because everyone is coming to South. Where? Where are they coming? There is a port here. You call it Goa. There is a port here. You call it Tondi. There is a port here. Muchiri. Muziris. There is a port here. Kollam. Kulon. There is a port here. Thondi. Again a port here. Korkai. One port here. Arikamedu. And one port here. Kaveripatnam and Nagapatnam. Two ports here. I am writing and, it means there are two different ports. And then there is one port here. You call it Motapalli. So many ports. Goa belongs to a kingdom called the Kadambas. Tondi, Muchiri and Kulon belongs to the Cheras. Tondi and Korkai will after some time belong to the Pandyas. Arikamedu will belong to the Pallavas. Kaveri Patnam and Nagapatnam belong to the Cholas. And the Motopalli belongs to the Kakatiyas. It's an important sheet because if you see UPSC 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 PT questions. You have so many ports in South India. Now Byzantine people come to trade in South and they bring their gold coin called drachma. If you remember, here were the Huns. Huns came from Gujarat and Rajasthan. They brought their gold coins. It is called Huns. Huns will bring Huns. Chinese, they come to trade. They bring their coin. It is called Phanam. Southeast Asia bring their coin. That is called pagoda. South India is rich because they do not give money in return. So the question is, who is trading? So the one who is trading in South India are big merchant corporations. Big merchant corporations. This big merchant corporation includes Arabs, Jews, and Indians. We have these three. We have to further break Indians into many pieces. That is why they do not have any dearth of cash. They have lots and lots of money. All right. So merchant corporations include Arabs, Jews, and Indians. Arabs come from outside. Jews come from outside. But Indians. Who are these Indians? Because Indians, are they from North India? Are they from South India? Are they from Sri Lanka? Where are they from? So we have to break them further. Bana liya? Das. No. 8, 3, 1. बढ़ू आगे. -50. Done? Good. So when somebody says Indians, they mean we are discussing the composition of these Indians. Who are these Indians? Number one, they are St. Thomas Christians. World's first Christian were found in India. St. Thomas Christians, they are in India. They are Indian Christians. Number two, Chettiars. Chettiars. St. Thomas Christians, Chettiars. Okay? They are big businessmen. They are into business. Now I want you to pull this line like this. Now we are going to number them in continuation. Number 3, Samkarpadayars. Number 4, Tattars. Samkarpadayars are oil traders. Tattars deal in gold. Number 5, Salayas. They are upper caste and they deal only in textiles. And number 6 are the kaikolas. They are lower caste. They also deal in textiles. Just to give you an idea how important they are, these kaikolas only deal in one item, only one, and that is called Kanjivaram silk sari. That is the reason why they have a GI tag. They have GI tag. Only they produce that Kanjivaram silk sari. Now, if you see, I have pulled a line between 1 and 3. No, 1, 2 is one group, 3, 4, 5, 6 is one group. So first, the business category. You can trade wherever you want, but you have to pay taxes. The taxes is paid in cash. The name of the tax is Antarayam. Antarayam. And cash is called Varichai. So the name of the tax is Antarayam Varichai. The next group, they deal in commodities. Let us call them artisans for clarity. Even they have to pay taxes, but they pay their tax in kind, in commodity. The name of their tax is Tatam Patam, and kind is Varam. Tatam Patam Varam. That is the tax they pay. The Raja has lots and lots of money. That is the source of their income. Now make a table like this. The Cholas invented a measuring unit. Measuring unit. First, of distance, so that you can measure the land. Let's go down. Name of the measuring unit first. The name of the measuring unit is Maligai Kol. From where comes 3 distinct distance unit. Kuli, usse bada ma, और usse bada veli. Kuli ma veli. Similarly, to measure the weight, they have a unit called kalam, where 1 kalam is equal to 29 kgs of paddy. Anybody who comes from Tamil Nadu, you should remember it, because that will come in your PCS, even UPSC obviously. So that is the composition when we say Indians. Now comes the question, who are these merchants, corporations? We understood the merchants, but where do these companies operate from? Because there could be many companies. ये कहाँ से काम करते हैं? Headquarter कहाँ है इनका? What is the name of the company? Is the name of the company Reliance or the Tatas? What is the name of their companies? And that brings us to the next question. Done? Varichai means cash. Done? The merchant corporations, the companies. The first important company is Manigiramam. They operated from Kerala. That is their headquarters. The second is Anjuvanam, also operated from Kerala. Number 3 is Nakanaru. And number 4 is Balijas, also sometimes referred to as Pekanderu. These two operate from Ayole. No, sorry. They two operate from Warangal, Motapalli. Warangal, Telangana today. And number 5 is the most important of all, Anuruvaru, also called Nanadeshi, also called the 500, also called Aivole 500, where 500 means number of directions that they can trade in. Number of directions that they can trade in. Out of all, the 5th is the largest. So you can put a star on number 5. The 5th is the largest. We have found an inscription, a source, which tells lots and lots about the company. It is called Baru's inscription. Baru's inscription has been found from a place called Sumatra. In this inscription, it is said that the company had a council. They had a council of their own. Veera Bananja. In this council, they had a code of conduct. That is how they fixed rules. Bananja Dharma. Today in North India, the same Bananja Dharma is called Vanijya Dharma or Baniya Dharma. So it is South India which has taught North India the code of conduct. See, the items that they traded in, camphor and clove, these are the two things that they traded from Sumatra. And number D, the last and the most important of all, since they are so powerful, they kept a private army for themselves. Kongaval 700 and Ponmai 300, where again 700 and 300 tells you the number of directions that they give security in. So you have understood where the money comes from. Huh? Meaning? The 500. The 500 from a place called Ayole. So they operate from, I hope you understand, they operate from Ayole, and which is in Karnataka. No, this is a corporation. Corporation, it's a corporation. It's a multinational company. It has many people. It has Jews, it has Arabs, it has Indians. In Indians, you have Chettiars, you have St. Thomas Christians, you have Samkar Padayars, you have Saliyas, you have Tattars, you have Kaikolas. So many. What is 300 and 700? Tania, दोबारा देखो. फिर से देखो. एक बार और देखो, क्लोव एंड कैम्फर, गुड क्वेश्चन अजय। रुमाल में सूंघने के काम आता है, और क्लोव अभी मैं चबा रहा हूं, दिखा नहीं सकता। घर में मां से पूछना कि मां ये क्लोव किस चिड़िया का नाम है, तो वो तुम्हारे माथे पे टपली मार के कहेगी कि साले, तभी कहती हूं साथ में शॉपिंग पे चल। क्लोव नहीं पता तुमको? लौंग दोस्त, लौंग। कैम्फर इज कपूर। इज दिस सुमात्रा सेम एज इंडोनेशिया? नहीं नहीं, ये सुमात्रा C++ वाला है। और कितना सुमात्रा जानते हो तुम इंडोनेशिया के अलावा? इज देयर एनी अदर सुमात्रा ऑल्सो? डब्बा गोल है क्या? Yes, it is for all this. At what time in history is this? Like which century? Very good question. It's a very good question. देख दोबारा, फिर से देखेगा, एक बार और, समझ आई बात? इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूं you should take admission in the basic course, 6th class. Concentrate here, इधर उधर ना देखो। किसी के फोन बज रहे हैं, कोई किसी से बात कर रहा है, जमाना गया, अभी तुम रैट रेस में हो, बस सब पढ़ जाओ। So the easy part is over. Now comes the medium level. South India. In South India, there was no feudalism. There was Vendar Valir Kalir system. Vendar Valir Kalir system. What is Vendar Valir Kalir system? So we make the same pyramid that we made in the first lecture. We break into 3 halves. On the top we write the king. It is the king who is a Vendar. Here you do not have a concept of a vassal, you call him a Valir. For understanding, just write vassals. And the peasant, who is called a Kudumbu, also is the Kalir. He is the Kalir. This Kudumbu can be a Brahman. If he is a Brahman, then no problem, he is a Brahman. But if he is a non-Brahman, you call him a Velalla. So that is the structure in South India. In South India, the Raja is not just a Raja. He is the representation of God on earth. He is the God himself, the God incarnate. That is why he is Ko-Konmai Kondam. Ko-Konmai Kondam. Is the all-powerful man. Then comes Valir. You do not have vassal here, you have Valir, which means we can further break into those Bhogika who get land as salary but can be removed from the office anytime. Under this category you have two. You have two, and you have two. One is Olai and the other is Arayan. Olai and Arayan. In the same category, you have officials who get salary in cash. or sometimes also in kind, but they get salary. They are officials, people working for your office. For example, a security guard. So here you have two. One is Velan and the other is Padi Magalir. Padi Magalir. If you have a South Indian friend, then it is fine, he will tell you. But if you do not have one, at least till the time you have exam. Magalir is a girl. Magalir is a girl. So what I'm trying to tell you is, South India is much more advanced in one thing. They do not discriminate when it comes to giving roles to people. A woman can also be given a very high position. Magalir. Padi Magalir. I'll give you an example. The example comes from the region or realm of Rajendra Chol, Rajendra the First. Rajendra First had his chief of security guard, whose name was Aramis. By the name you can understand that she is a Greek woman. So Greek woman is in the office working for Rajendra Chol. So obviously she would be paid very high salary. So that is one. Velan. Velan. Velan normally came from the lower caste. So I'll write it from here because ye dusre board mein jayega. So I'm writing from here. Example, lower caste officials. So let us take an example from the lower caste that we know of. Do you know of a lower caste in South India? Any lower caste? You do not have to find, you do not have to go so far. You just have to go 2 slides before. You have just written a name. Kaikolas. शिकारी आएगा, जाल बिछाएगा, दाना डालेगा, फंसना नहीं. Kaikolas. Now Kaikolas were lower caste. The female engaged in textiles, the male were great archers. So there was a ruler. There was a ruler. His name was Raj Chol. I hope you have heard his name. Raj Chol made a separate regiment for them. Separate regiment for them. Since they are lower caste, they were simply called Parayas. Lower caste. Parayas. But since he made them a separate regiment, he gave them a separate name, a beautiful name, since it is a regiment. So, the name was, if you write this in Hindi, this is a C of English, but to represent a Hindi word, this is Cha. Alright. When you put a line, it becomes Sa, Se, Nai, She Nai. In this family of Kaikolas, later a man would be born, Chenappa Nayakam, on whose name you will get the name Chinnai. So you have lower caste in the office and you have women in the office. That is the basic difference of South and North in the management. Also, here the salary is given in land, but that can be taken anytime because the Raja here is God. He is not a Kshatriya alone. He is a God. Representation of God on earth. Understood? Aage badho. Done? Everyone? Now we have to understand Olai and Arayan. To understand that, we have to go further into the condition of the state. All right. Shall we? So a blank sheet would be better because you have to write a lot. Imagine this is the Rajyam, the state. a South Indian state where resides the Vendar, and Vendar is the king. This Vendar, in order to take care of his Rajyam, breaks this Rajya into small provinces. This province is called a Mandalam or Padi. And right now you have written in the pyramid Padi Magalir, which means a woman can rise up to the level of province, which means she is a governor, a woman governor in South India. This province can further be broken into districts. These districts are called Velanadu. In the pyramid you have written Velan. And Velan का मैंने आपको एग्जांपल क्या दिया? Lower caste. So can we assume that the district magistrate in South India is a lower caste? Good. Next. This district is broken further into blocks, and that is where the problem begins. At the level of the block, the problem begins. Why? Because as you enter from district to the block level, the first thing that happens is local self-government, municipality. So the block is the first place where, which is actually called a Nadu or a Kotam, is going to have its own set of council because it is the local self-government. So Nadu has a council which is called Nadu. So Nadu has Nadu. And Kotam has a council which is called Kuram. From where comes the English term in political science, quorum? Understood? क्या करें? नाचे क्या करें? कोरम क्या है? नहीं, मैं पूछ रहा हूं, मैं बताता हूं, मैं आपसे जानना ही नहीं चाहता. आप ये उम्मीद मत रखिए कि मैं आपसे उम्मीद रखता भी हूं. आप सिलवट्टा हैं. Anyway, now a block can have many villages. Nadu is a block. A block is a cluster of villages. So a Nadu has a council called Nadu. A Kotam has a council called Kuram. So Kotam and Nadu is one and the same thing. It depends where you live. You can call it a Kotam, you can call it a Nadu. In a block, many villages can stay. There could be many villages. Every village can have different professional classes. So imagine, in this block there are many villages. In that village, there are many professional class. What if they want to have their own meetings? What if they want to make their own guild? What if they want to come together to meet and decide how much would be the rate of our product? If they make certain councils within a Nadu, it is called a Perinadu. So repeat after me. The lowest form of council in South India is after Perinadu, after that, exactly. That is how the series goes by. And that's a very interesting question of South India, which is asked in normally every exam. All right. Now we have to break the Nadu. Because I said a Nadu can have many villages. What kind of villages? Nadu can have four things. A Nadu can have four things because it is a block. It has cluster of villages. One kind of village is the Brahman village. I hope you are writing in a fresh sheet, no? So you have space? Good. Because we will go down. Brahman village is called Agraharam. Agraharam. And an Agraharam has a council of its own, which is called a Sabha. which is called a sabha. Okay, called a sabha. Please remember, this council is financially autonomous. It has financial autonomy. They do not ever depend on a Raja. Rather, a Sabha and a Brahmin village has, remember this, 18 immunities given by the Raja. 18 immunities called the Pariharas, which includes, imagine there is a thief. Imagine there is a thief. To save himself, he enters into a Brahmin village. The Raja's army is trying to chase him. They will have to stop at the border of the Brahmin village. They cannot enter the Brahmin village until the council permits. Even the Raja, who is considered to be the representation of God, he cannot enter. These are certain immunities. A Brahmin never pays tax. That is the second immunity. A Brahmin will never pay tax on milk, goat, land, cow, water, anything. In total, 18 immunities. They have 18 immunities. Very important people. The Agrahara is a very interesting place because it has a council called Sabha. In this Sabha, you have members. How many members? 30 members. And these 30 members are called Olai. Olai. And that is how you get the first term of the pyramid, Olai. All right, Olai. How do you get these 30 people? Why not 31? Why not 29? Why not 35? Because a Brahmin village is the most scientifically built village of this country. How? Make a box. Make a box. From right to left, this is an arrow. This is actually us. This is actually something. It's a very important thing. It is called Karl. Karl is a canal. The line from north to south is called Vati. It is a sub-canal. Sub-canal. Karl, Vati. So basically what I am trying to tell you is, a Brahmin village is the most scientifically built village because its border is made of canals. So now imagine you live somewhere here. How will you get the water? How will you get the water? So you will pull the water through capillaries, no? Here. And that is how you will get grids. A Brahmin village is exactly like a grid. This is the catchment area. Here you store the water. These are the points. That point is called a kannaru, a kind of a well. Kannaru. Kannaru. In every piece of grid, a Brahmin village is so scientifically built that the number of grids are exactly numbered. The total number of grid is 5 multiplied by 6. Total number of grid is, and so how many members of the council? 30. So what does it mean? That every grid will give how many members? 1. So every grid becomes what? Constituency. So Olai is basically a kind of an MLA. And why did I say that his salary is fixed till the time he has a land? What if he loses elections? Because to choose this man, to choose this Olai, you have an election system. Election of the Olai. It's a chit system. It's a chit system. Kuda Volai system. Kuda Volai system. Kuda Volai system, election system of the South. There are rules to stand in this election. If you want to participate from your grid in this election, you have to follow 4 rules. Rule number 1, know 4 Vedas. Know 4 Vedas. Go back to the first sheet from where we started our lecture. Go to the first sheet, read. You have written revival of रूरल इकोनॉमी लिखा है पहले पेज पे आपके. आज जो पढ़ा उसके पहले शीट पर क्या लिखा है? Revival of Brahmanism. How do you revive Brahmanism? By making such laws. You have to know all four Vedas. Number 2, no criminal charges. No criminal charges. Number 3, you have to be a taxpayer. You have to be a taxpayer. And number 4, can also be a woman. And number 5, the age must be 35 or above. 35 or above. Leave the first point. The last 4 is even true for the election of the President of India. Alright, so Kuda Volai system is India's first election system but chit system. Alright, so it is half democracy, half luck. So you have chosen the Olai and you have fit them in the grids and they are representing those grids. Understood? Now, these people receive salary. They receive salary. That is why they are financially autonomous. They receive salary. They are autonomous. Now the point here is, will these people work? Will the Brahmins work? No. So what do? They make several committees. They make several committees. These committees could be for many things. A committee for construction of a lake, a committee for taking care of a temple, a committee for taking care of a canal, a committee for taking care of granaries. Such committees are called Varyam. Varyam. Okay? Varyam. So, these committees should also have members. These members are called Arayan. So, consider Arayan, which was there in your pyramid, as an MLC. Alright, Arayan. So, now the 4 words that you have written in the pyramid is clear. Who are they? What do? Arayan is the member of the Varyam. Now, what if there is a tsunami? What if there is a battle? What if there is a war in South India? In such times, all the Brahmin villages will come together. And that is how they will have Mahasabha. Mahasabha. Perungiri. And every Sabha of every Brahmin village will send members as representatives. So the members of the Mahasabha would be Perumakkal. So consider Perungiri as the Lok Sabha and Perumakkal as the member of the parliament. You have proper system working in South India. Again, the question is, aren't the Varyam Brahmins? They are. So are you saying that the Brahmins will construct roads? Are you saying that they will clean the toilets? They won't. So this is where caste comes into picture. And that is very interesting. So once again, we draw the same Brahmin village, chota hi banana, make grids. Imagine this is a Brahmin village. Imagine this is a Brahmin village. So what do? Very interestingly, around this village, they also hijack the pieces of land. So this is a Brahmin village. This is not Brahmin village. This is outside the Brahmin village. It is hijacked by the Brahmins. And a Brahmin will not let anybody settle here. Nobody can settle here unless the person promises to work for the Brahmin village. So here stays those slaves who can be called the slaves of the village. Slaves of the village, who promise that they will work for the Brahman. They will come every day, they will clean the gutters, they will prepare the canal, they will make the temple, they will do every menial work. All right. These people are called Adimai or Al. And what are they supposed to do? They are supposed to give their labor. No? They are supposed to give their labor. And what is their labor called? Veti, remember? But in Brahman village, it has a special name. After all, you are serving a Brahman. You are doing something which will take you to the heavens. So they give you a different name. It is called Muttayal. Do you think that a Brahman will write in his script that he makes other people clean his gutters? Do you think a Brahman will write like this ever? So he writes it in a very different way. A sugar-coated sentence he creates. He writes, look how benevolent we are. We are giving people hereditary land to settle. Hereditary land to settle. In return, we just ask to help us since we are the guardians of God. So this hereditary piece of land has a name. It is called Vetta Peru lands. Vetta Peru. So a Vetta Peru land belongs to Adimai. Why? Because he has promised that he will perform Muttai Al in the Brahman piece of land. Understood? There's a movie on this. Asuran. The whole movie is based on this. The taking of the Vetta Peru land by the Brahmins and the upper caste. So that is a Brahman village. अभी तो सिर्फ एक हुआ है, अब दूसरा. हाँ. So how they are paying tax? It's a good question. Very nice, beautiful question. Understand. Imagine that you live in a society. All right. You have been here in a society. The society is a gated society. And the gated society has a security guard. Okay. Who pays the salary for the security guard? The committee of the society. Similarly, there is a Brahman village, which is a gated village where even a king cannot enter. So who ensures for the payment of the salary of the people here and get these certain menial works done? The contribution done by every home. So that contribution here is called a tax within the Brahman village. All right. Imagine that the main payment you as a flat, let us say there are 8 flats in a house. The payment of 50 rupees that you make to the jhadu wala to clean your stairs is that extra money. That is what you are calling it here, tax. All right. What is AI? It is not AI. This is AL. Al. It's a name. Muttai Al. Adimai or Al. There are 2 different names. There are names which are 2-letter names also. You will realize it is not artificial intelligence. All right. क्या कह रहे हैं? Not every level. Only those levels where it is required, where the security is the question. Brahmins will get the land. Not everybody. Brahmins get the land. And certain upper caste who can manage to buy land because they have money. Sir, how do we keep remembering this? Don't remember. Don't remember this. Go to a tattoo wala. You may have hair. If you do not have, grow it. Get it tattooed on your hair. Take a chashma in the exam. Right? Another way, take the notes along with you. Say you are a star Zami par. Maybe UPSC will allow you home carder for life. देख बेटा, मैं हर बात सबको एक ही बात कहता हूं. I just tell this to everybody. I did not go to your home to pick you up and bring here. You have come by your choice. So ओखल में सर डाला है तो मोसल से क्या डरना, है ना? पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा, है ना? There has to be a difference between a bureaucrat and a common people, na? All right. Bureaucrat should know all this. After all, you are going to be part of bureaucracy. Or else, write a letter to the President of India. Say, remove history from the syllabus. We have given you 3 options. Choose whatever you want. Number 2, a non-Brahmin village. A non-Brahmin village is Velan Vagai. Velan Vagai. In Velan Vagai, you have taxpayers. Obviously, it is a non-Brahmin village. So it is the taxpayers' land. In here, so do you remember all these words? No, I have a notebook here. I have opened it and I am looking at it and I am reading it. How is it humanly possible to remember all this? It can only be remembered by a bureaucrat, and that is you, sir. Gadhe. Taxpayer. Here you have the landlord. The landlord is a person who has a piece of land, and that he is the highest taxpayer. He is Udayar. Udayar. And then comes the tenants. So they pay rent as tax. They are called Ulukudi. So Vedan Vagai villages contribute 75% of the GDP of the state when it comes to taxation. Velan Vagai villages have landlords as well as tenants. We will break them further again, but right now, no, we do not have space. Here, number 3. Number 3 is a very interesting place, and that is the urban center. Every block will have Bazar Samiti, Nagaram. And Nagaram has its own set of council. Council is called Nattar. If you see, I have not written the name of the council here. So what is the name of the council in a Velan Vagai village? It is called Ur or Urar. So Sabha is Brahman, Ur or Urar is non-Brahman, Nagaram has Nattar, and finally you have a very interesting concept in South. It is called SEZs, Special Economic Zones. All right. SEZs. Taniyur, Taniyur. These are special economic zones. Taniyur. Tani means water, Taniyur, close to water. So it is basically ports, islands, Taniyur. Here there are few families who engage in certain activities which you cannot even imagine sitting in UP or Bihar. For example, pearl fishery. Pearl fishery cannot happen in Gujarat or MP. You have to go to South. All right. So if you have certain special economic zones, here you do not have a council. Here you have only one head man who is called Pattam Swami or Swami Pattam. And he is the only point of contact between an SEZ and the king. Consider it as a union territory. What is written after Udayar? Udayar के बाद तो blank है. नीचे पूछ रहे हो. अच्छा. Tenant. Tenant, if you do not know tenant, write rentier. If you do not understand rentier also, then leave it. How can he be a Brahman? If somebody is into fish and pearl, will he be a Brahman? So that is how you break Dinadu. Done? Now it is time to break non-Brahman village once again, because money comes from there. So we have to see how many people pay tax. All right. So we have 216 different taxes. 216 only. But we do not have to remember all. Shall we? Chalo. Non-Brahman village. Taxations. Taxations. Number one is the Udayar. Udayar is the landowner. He owns land. He is the landowner. And Udayar pays three taxes. The first tax he pays is called Irai. Irai or Kardamai. 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 This is the revenue tax. This is the primary tax. Consider it as TDS. Alright, if you do not understand TDS, leave it. B. So Irai is the primary tax. Then he pays another tax, Manai. Manai is the house tax. And C is Padi Kaval. Padi means province, Kaval means security to the province. Basically, it is the security tax. He is saying thank you to the governor to let them live peacefully. Do the slave got paid by Brahman? Slave by very definition is a property. Slave is never paid. शुक्र मनाइए कि उनको जीने के लिए सांस दिया जा रहा है. लो सांस लो एक बार. बस इतना ही मिलता है. Number 2, Ulu Kudi. Ulu Kudi is a tenant. A tenant. He pays only one tax. After all, he is a rentier. Only one tax. The tax is Kudi Mai. So it is basically tenancy tax. Okay. Then comes number 3, merchants. Because merchants and artisans, which we started our discussion from, would live mostly in a non-Brahman village. So if you are a merchant, you are paying Antar Ayam. Antar Ayam Varichai. And if you are an artisan, you are paying Tatam Patam Varam. Did you observe a very interesting psychological phenomena right now? Did you observe? If you have psychological options. The first time I said Tatam Patam Varam, people laughed in this class. But the second time I said Tatam Patam Varam, you did not. You know why? Because now you know the shit is real. In the first time, you were like, what kind of a name? Second time, now you have realized you have to remember that. Now it is part of your life. This is what UPSC does to you. I cannot use the word, but I am me. Fucks you in different ways. You understand? The shit has got real. So you are now the guinea pigs of UPSC. And number 2, if you are a merchant, you will leave the village, leaving your Begum Sahiba behind, your family behind. So they need security. And the last person who pays the tax is the village council, or even they need to pay a tax. They pay one tax, Padi Kaval. Padi Kaval is the security. It seems easy, but when I write the other line, it will become difficult. Udayar pays 3 taxes twice. He pays to the Ur and he pays to the king. He pays the same tax twice. So he pays Irai twice, he pays Manai twice, he pays Padi Kaval twice. Ulu Kudi pays the same tax thrice. Ur, Udayar, as well as the king. 3. Similarly, the merchant and the artisan pays the 2 taxes twice. One to the Ur, the second is to the king. And the Ur pays the Padi Kaval only twice. One the Nadu, which is above them, the council, and to the king. You see, king is the rich. He gets money from every angle. इतना पैसा आता है उसके पास. There is no feudalism. So that is the end of the medium level. Now we start with the difficult level.
What is the fourth word? What is the fourth? Fourth from where? Huh? क्या उर? किसको उड़ाना है? Ur. Ur Udayar King. Done. Shabash. Is this horizontal or vertical? Arey, this is not feudalism here. This is the payment of the tax list. Done. Let us start with Dakkan first. We start with Dakkan first. Antar Ayam Variche is which type of tax? It's a very beautiful kind of tax. All right. In the world of columnars, it is different. It is spheroid. Understood? Once upon a time, there was a kingdom of the Kadambas. And Kadambas were contemporary of the Gupta Empire. Contemporary of the Guptas in the north. The same thing happened with the Kadambas. Kadambas began to decline. They also felt the pressure of the Guptas because they did not change the way an empire should be run. They followed Guptas. They had port like Goa, but they did not pay much heed to trade. They had to decline. And when they declined, the people who were working with them, they thought to break out and form their own kingdom. So somebody broke out from the Kadambas. You call them Western Chalukyas. Western Chalukyas were formed. This Western Chalukya is a very important kingdom, very, very important kingdom. So important that they are the first ones to revive Brahmanism in Dakkan. They said, we come from Manavya Gotra, and we are Brahmins. After all, they were lying. Revival of Brahmanism. They made their capital city. Their capital was Vatapipur and Badami. Very important center. Vatapi, Badami. Western Chalukyans. The true founder of the Western Chalukya is Pulkeshin, the first. If UPSC asks, how do we know so much about Pulkeshin? You just have to say, we have referred to Nerur plates. Nerur plates is associated with Western Chalukyans. Every detail is mentioned there. One line answer, Nerur plates. Pulkeshin is a very interesting man because he is the first ruler of Dakkan to have ever called himself Maharaja. He performed Ashwamedh Yagya. He is the first person in Dakkan to perform Ashwamedh and call himself Maharaja. Maharaja is a very important man. आपने लिखा ना that the whole reason for the revival of Brahmanism was expelling Buddhism. I could have written Jainism also, but I did not, because thanks to Pulkeshin, he pulled back Jainism into the folds of Hinduism. You may ask how? Folds of Hinduism, they are not Hindus, by giving them two things: temples and the concept of pilgrimage, which is quite similar to that of the Hindus. So am I saying that pilgrimage and temple construction began in Jain religion because of Pulkeshin in Dakkan? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He ensured that people will do all this. Pulkeshin is a very important figure. All right, so he has done a very important job in his time period. After Pulkeshin, he is succeeded by his son. His name is Kirti Varman. Kirti Varman is the name of his son. With him is associated the Badami plates. So if somebody asks you, Badami plate is associated with, the answer is Kirti Varman, the son of Pulkeshin. So Pulkeshin pulled the Jaina. This man tried to pull Buddhism, but Buddhism did not agree. Buddhists said, we cannot. We are different. So he threw them out. He took Badami caves. From Buddhists and made it a Hindu cave. So if you have been to this cave, if you have gone to Badami caves, the first interesting thing that you will see is a Varaha avatar Vishnu holding a conch and a chakra, which is the state symbol of Western Chalukya. Varaha Vishnu. It's a very typical question of UPSC. Which Dakkan kingdom had a Varaha Vishnu on its flag? चालुक्याज नहीं, वेस्ट. अगर वेस्ट नहीं बोला तो गए. Varaha Vishnu. Kirti Varman was always in a hurry, so he died early. And then the problem began. Two sons, one 16 years old, the other is 8 years old. Everybody wanted the 8-year-old to take the throne. Why? Because the 13-year-old child had a physical deformity. He had a hunch on his back, from where comes the character of Bahubali. So that 16-year-old boy broke out from the kingdom. And he went to the other end. This is Karnataka side. He goes to the Andhra side and builds Eastern Chalukya. Capital Vengi. I hope you understand his Gotra will also be the same. He had a hunch in his back. People normally like to, if you have such a hunch, you like to cover it. But he flaunted it because he assumed that it is the grace of God that I have been given a hunch. And that makes me handsome. So he took it as a title. He called himself Kubja Vishnuvardhan. And began to rule in the Eastern Chalukya. Kubja Vishnuvardhan. कहानी बढ़ती चली जाएगी, ये बहुत लंबी कहानी है, 2 महीने लगेंगे रिवाइज करने में, तो ध्यान से कीजिएगा. फैक्ट्स सारे लिखने हैं. You have to write all the facts, whatever I am writing. This 8-year-old boy runs towards the forest. That is your character Bahubali in the movie. And that boy returns back when he turns 12 years. वो 12 साल की उम्र में वापस आता है. With a tribal army, comes to the Karnataka region and takes back his territory, which was called the Western Chalukyas, frees it from his cousin brother, and then takes the throne, a 12-year-old boy, and takes the name of his grandfather. Pulkeshin II. With him is associated the Iole inscription. He is the most powerful of all kings of the Western Chalukya. Kirtivarman ka beta. Now Pulkeshin has taken many titles in his life. For example, Eraya. For example, Sri Prithvi Vallabh, a title which was coming in the Chalukyans already. But the most important title that he takes was Satyashraya. Satyashraya. Kindly underline Satyashraya. Upholder of truth. Upholder of truth. Why did he take this title? Why did he take this title, Upholder of Truth? Because he did something which nobody has done. He took this title after he defeated Harshvardhan at Ujjain. At Ujjain, claiming to be the only ruler who is the custodian of Brahmanism on this earth. That is the power of this guy, Pulkeshin. Pulkeshin is known for a lot of things. For example, his friendship with Iran. Friendship with Iran. Now, what is the religion of the people of Iran in those days? Kaun bola Shia? What was the religion of Iran in those days? Perfect. They were Zoroasters. They followed Zoroastrianism. जिनको ये जवाब नहीं पता था उनको सोचने की जरूरत है कि आप कहां पर खड़े हैं और कितनी तैयारी करनी बाकी है. बिकॉज ये क्लास 6ठी के किताब में लिखा हुआ है, NCERT. Anyway, so friendship with Iran, they were Zoroasters. So if you have friendship with Iran, even those people will come here. That is when the migration of Parsis happen in India. So you can say it like this also, that the Parsis were given a place to live in India, all thanks to Pulkeshin II. After Pulkeshin, you do not have many strong rulers. All right. So when you do not have strong rulers, somebody will rebel. Somebody will rebel. In other words, somebody will like to break out again from here. Somebody tried to break out. The year was 753. So if you want, you can go to the next sheet. If this sheet is over, you can go to the next sheet. It is all in context. Buddhism has not reached in Central Asia by early medieval. Yes, it has. Broke out 753 CE. And the one who broke out formed Rashtrakutas. Rashtrakutas. They called themselves Yaduvanshi. Yaduvanshi, with their capital at Malkhed or Manyakhet. That is their capital. Malkhed or Manyakhet. That is Rashtrakoot for you. Malkhed or Manyakhet. Now there is a problem. The problem is, when you say Malkhed and Manyakhet, what is the state? Which state is this? Maharashtra. It means, imagine in your head that the first kingdom in Dakkan happens in Karnataka. Then there is a movement towards Andhra, and the person who will break out in Maharashtra. Can you see you have to imagine in the map, mind map. So you are in Maharashtra. The problem with Maharashtra is the place of Buddhism and Tantrism. It's a place of Buddhism and Tantrism. And Krishna is not popular because Yaduvanshi. Krishna is not popular. So when you reach Maharashtra and you want to call yourself king, nobody will even ask you to become a ruler. Why? Because you are not part of the system. You are Malech. For them, you are an outsider. So if you're an outsider and if you want to be a Kshatriya, what do you have to do? Hiranya Garbhadan. So the founder Danti Durg is the first king of Dakkan to have performed Hiranya Garbhadan. That is how you remember facts. When you connect the concepts. So Danti Durg happens to be the first king to have performed Hiranya Garbhadan, so therefore he became a ruler. But then the next successor, the most important successor after him is Krishna the first. He knew that he cannot continue with Krishna for long. So it is important to change a god which they understand. Buddhism they cannot accept because revival of Brahmanism. The other was Tantrism. Which is the god in Tantrism? Who do you worship in Tantrism? Kali. So since you are a king, why not worship the husband of Kali? That is why Krishna the first builds Kailashnath temple and makes it the state temple. Kailashnath temple, Ellora, dedicated to Shiv. They have shifted to another god. You see, sometimes you change your god, not because you want it, but because you want the support of the people where you live. After Krishna, the next important ruler is Govind. Govind the third. A very important. Dekho dhyan se, all the names are after Krishna. Govind, he is the first important ruler of Rashtrakuta who captured Kannauj. He goes north. That is his flex. He captured Kannauj. Govind the third. After capturing Kannauj, the area has become so big, they have crossed Narmada. I hope you understand they will have problems maintaining such a big kingdom. And the problem began when a ruler by the name Amogha comes next. Amogha. And more than taking care of the kingdom, he takes care of literature. He revives. Revives is not a good word here. Aise likho. He is the first author, first proclaimed author of Kannadiga poetics. Kannadiga poetics. In other words, he is the inventor of a new language, Kannada. The name of the book is Kaviraj Marg. So suddenly the focus has changed to literature and culture. Yes, Amogha contributes towards language, but suddenly he is losing out in terms of controlling the territory. In controlling the territory, he has many great poets in his court. Many great poets. Amogha has many great poets. For example, Sri Vijaya, a very important poet. Everything is fine. It is becoming a cultural center. Once again, Amogha has brought Rashtrakuta at the pedestal where the literature is important in the court. Everybody celebrates it. But you are losing on the territory. And that's what happens. You lose Kannauj. You lost Kannauj, which you had captured. So next comes a ruler. His name is Indra. Indra the third. He recaptured Kannauj. After Indra, you have very, very weak rulers. You do not have strong rulers. So how to contain the territory which is north of Narmada river, the north of Vindhya river? Because every time you cannot send a staff if there is a revolt. So what did you do? You outsourced the work. Imagine you have a headquarter office in Delhi and you have opened a office in Mangalore or Bangalore. So you would not go every time. Every day you cannot be there. So you send a staff there. You sometimes outsource it to a company which is there in Bangalore. And that is what their mistake was. They outsourced to a community who lived in north. And after Indra, you have weak rulers. So that particular group of staff, they thought, why not break out? Why not break out and create our own kingdom? That happens in 975 CE. So the time period of Rashtrakuta is 753 to 975. Who broke out? Parmars of Dhar. And who are they? They are the Rajputs. In the last lecture I told you, I will teach you what Rajputs want us to know. And I told you in the second lecture, I will tell you where do they really come from. So Parmars Agni se nahi nikle. वो कहां से निकले? राष्ट्रकूट. So out of the 4 Agni Kund theory में 4 we now know of one, that is Parmars. Why did they have to adopt Shaivism? Granth, just remember they adopted Shaivism. With that you clear the exam. Then you become IAS officer. Then when you have time, because then you will have a lot of time, then read. Then you will like, acha. So it is better just remember that they shifted to Shaivism. The grammatics, the poetics of it, the phonetics of it is Amogha Varsha. We fix it with Amogha Varsha because the first book of Kannadiga poetics is associated with him. So you had that language, but you did not have a phonetics and a grammar for it. He establishes that grammar for it. Syntax and everything, yes. Exactly. वही होता ही है. आप कहानी बनाते हैं बाद में. आपसे पूछा तुम कौन हो? अभी तुम कुछ नहीं हो. तुम कल होके आईएएस बन जाओगे. तुमने कहा मैं बोरे पर पढ़ता था, नदी पार करके जाता था. कौन सी नदी में घड़ियाल भी होते थे. एक घड़ियाल दोस्त भी था. So you create myth later, larger than life picture. Which religion did Danti Durga follow? हाँ, who? हाँ, ठीक है. He writes, हाँ, ठीक है. कन्नडिगा. हाँ. कन्नडिगा पोएट नहीं था. वो कन्नडिगा एक भाषा है. कन्नडा in south, the whole south is not Madras. Okay. There are 4 states. One is Karnataka. Okay. So there is a language spoken there called Kannada. Say Kannada. On that, a book of poetics was written for the first time by Amogha Varsha. The name of the book is Kavi Rajmarg. Now ask the question. अब भैया जहां मुझे भैया नौकरी मिलेगी महाराष्ट्र में, महाराष्ट्र नहीं जाऊंगा. तुम भी जाओगे. मुझे नहीं पता. मुझे आता ही नहीं. मेरी किताब में नहीं लिखा. पलटने दो. Now we come to the south. 600 to 1279. 600 to 1279. Sanskar. Just remember, Parmar came from Rashtrakuta. That's it. That's it. Full stop. Who are they? Why are they? Where are they? Just leave it. Where are they? I have told you. Dhar. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom of the Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku. And Ikshvaku was a kingdom that operated from Ayodhya. And they had a ruler. You call him Prabhu Shri Ram. नाम तो सुना ही होगा. And Ram, I hope you know that they are Suryavanshi. I hope you remember. They are Suryavanshi. Ram is Suryavanshi. So in his court, you had 2 different kinds of staff. One were the Brahmins. Brahmins belonging to the Bharadwaj Gotra. And the other were the Somavanshi or Chandravanshi, Chandravanshi, Kshatriya. So they asked a question, Prabhu, you are going, what will we do after you go? Ram said, Itna sikhaya tab bhi. Go to south, make a kingdom and rule. The Brahmins came to south, and that is how the first Brahmanical kingdom was established, Pallavas, and they made their capital. Capital is Kanchi. देखो नाम सुनो, कांची. They are making the Kashi of the south. All right. Similarly, the Kshatriyas, they call themselves Pandyas, and their capital was Madurai. The two kingdoms were established. अब आप पूछोगे, was there Ram? Was there no Ram? I don't know. It's a myth. That's how you legitimize your position, because you have to revive Brahmanism. So Pallavas and the Pandyans, they came to south, so they brought Brahmins with them. Here the founder is Simha Vishnu. Here the founder is Kardungon. Okay. So Simha Vishnu was very choosy. He only brought those North Indian Brahmins who knew 4 Vedas and gave them lands to settle. तो 4 वेद जो जाने उसको क्या कहते हो? The one who knows 4 Ved, what do you call? Perfect. So therefore, here Agraharam is called Chaturvedin Mangalam. That is the name of their village. Here Agrahara has a special name. Chaturvedin Mangalam. Simha Vishnu. That is the reason why in Pallavas you also had Sanskrit speaking poets. You have many poets who speak in Sanskrit. The most popular poet of the court of Simha Vishnu is poet Bharavi, a very popular poet, the writer of Kirat Arjuna, a very popular poet, Bharavi. Okay? Bharavi. We stop here, we go here first. Kadungon also brought Brahmins, also brought North Indian Brahmins, but he was not that choosy. So here you have Agraharam. He said, even if you know 1 Ved, come. Now, just to give you an idea, Pandyan territory is smaller and Pallava territory is comparatively bigger. All right. So, the process of Brahmanization will get over first where? Pandyas, because Pandyas is smaller. This is smaller. This is a bigger territory. So, where will the Brahmanization will get over? Pandyans, and that's what happened. After Kadungon, the whole process of Brahmanization, means settling of the Brahmins in the Pandyan territory, got over and during his son's period. And his son was Manavarman. Avani Shulamani. सब रटना है. Manavarman, Avani Shulamani. During his time, Brahmanization got over. Brahmanization of villages got over. Every territory was Brahmanized. Every village, whatever is important village, was given under the tutelage of a Brahman. Agrahara were set. Councils were made. Everything was running the way they wanted. Manavarman, Avani Shulamani. देखो मैं बताऊं, आप लोग जब बैठते हो ना तो थोड़ा अपने आप में एडजस्ट करो। जिनके चश्मे का पावर ज्यादा है उनको आगे बैठने दो, वो बेचारे एपर्चर छोटा करके देख रहे होते हैं, है ना। मुझे उनके एपर्चर छोटा करने से दिक्कत नहीं, वो ऐसे जब करते तो ऐसे भी कर लेते हैं। वो जो चोंच थूथन है ना, वो देख के थोड़ा अजीब लगता है। क्यों गलत कह रहा हूं? आपको मुझसे स्नेह नहीं है क्या? आपको मुझसे स्नेह है तो एक चाय पिला दीजिए, आधा कप। Here the Pallavas began to lag. ये स्लो हो गए. Their territory was big, but they started lagging because after Simha Vishnu comes his son, whose name is Mahendra Varman. Whose name is Mahendra Varman. And the problem, iska time period, his time period is important. So you write 580 to 620, because I will give you a very important detail about this guy. 580 to 620. This man was a Jaina follower. He was a Jaina follower. So for some time, the process got digressed. Brahmanization did not complete. He was a Jaina follower. And that is when Bhakti movement takes shape. A very important Bhakti saint comes to his kingdom. A Bhakti saint. He was a Shiva worshipper. You know him by the name Appar. A very popular Shiva Bhakta. He goes to Mahendra Varman and says that whatever you are worshipping is a wrong god. Come back to the folds. Mahendra Varman, with the help of Appar, becomes a Shaivite. Mahendra Varman converts. And that is when you get the most important thing in the history of India. And what is that? Temples. The first monolith temple is built by him. He builds the monolith temple. Monolith samajhte ho? Ratha temple, the 5 Pandav temple at Mamalapuram, the 5 Rathas of the Pandavas. He starts building the shore temple at Mahabalipuram. You also call it Mamalapuram today. Mahabalipuram today. It is called Mahabalipuram. Normally Mamalapuram, named after a ruler. You will see. So Mahendra Varman builds the first stone temples and becomes a very popular man. In fact, he's a good painter also. He gives you painting styles. Today, the way you imagine your Ram, today the way you imagine your Shiv, today the way you imagine Vishnu is all thanks to this guy, because he painted them like that. All right. So he is the most important person. Suddenly, more than Kanchipuram, Mahabalipuram became important. More than Kanchi, Mahabalipuram became, because he is concentrating at Mahabalipuram. You understand? So you have to imagine. Ek imagination karo. That 3 years ago, you have been to both the buildings of Vajiram. 3 years ago, the 9B center was the main important center, so the classes happened there. Suddenly this building came up. People shifted here. So the whole workforce moved from the old building to the... So can we say, with focus on Mahabalipuram, the royalty, the royal family also shifted to Mahabalipuram, and that's what happened when Mahendra Varman's son, Narsimha Varman, shifted his capital to Mahabalipuram. यही वो आदमी है जिसको प्यार से ममला बुलाते हैं. It is he whose name was Mamala also. On his name, the capital gets its name, Mamalapuram. He shifted the capital. Shifted the capital to Mamalapuram or Mahabalipuram. Built the shore temple. And what is interesting is, he repaired the most important monument of the world. The first ever lighthouse of the world is in Mamalapuram. The lighthouse was rebuilt by him, because it was built by his father. He rebuilds it. It was repaired later also. So there is a lighthouse, there are shore temples, and there are 5 rathas of the Pandavas. All that in Mahabalipuram. Now imagine, the power shifted from the old building to the new building. Old building is that side, new building is here. So when the old building is vacant, it gives you the time to attack. And that is what is going to happen from the other side. Pandyas are already over with their work. They have got nothing to do. They have got nothing to do. They have completed the process of Brahmanization. And that is when their king Rajasimha begins to attack the Pallavas. He begins to attack the Pallavas. He attacks the Pallavas. But where did he go? Did he go to Mahabalipuram? No, he goes to Kanchi. Now you have 2 options if you live in the 9. Let us say there are few people who are still there in the old building. You have 2 options. Either you surrender or you give up a fight. You have 2 options. Imagine you give up a fight. You go for a fight and imagine you win. Imagine you throw away the enemies who have entered the old building. And that is when you have one realization, that you yourself can become the king. That is when the attacks began, that is when somebody broke out from the Pallavas. Somebody broke out because they had been left on their own. Agrarian belt people, farmers the ye. They were simple farmers, kudal chalane wale, the ones who can work with the plow, who tried to protect Kanchi for some time, and they won. They later broke out and called themselves. So the first thing that they did was, they killed their own master. They destroyed Pallavas first, and then they went and destroyed the Pandyas also, and took them both. Cholas took Pallavas and the Pandyans. So 1 and 2 gone. Pallavas and the Pandyans gone. When and how we will see when we do the Cholas. What you have to remember is, Cholas come out of the Pallavas, take Pallavas and take Pandyas. They take both. Now comes the 3rd, 4th and the 5th. Okay. The 3rd, 4th and the 5th. Done? Everyone? The 3rd. Now the 3rd is not Cholas. The 3rd is Cheras. Cheras. And their capital is Vachi. Capital is Vachi. They were a matrilineal kingdom. And the most interesting thing about this kingdom is, they chose their leaders. They chose their kings. And when they chose their kings, they can choose a king outside their territory also. So if there is a powerful man living outside their kingdom, they can call him and make him a ruler. They can invite somebody also. That is the greatness of the Cheras. Now there are 3 rivers that flow towards the south, Kerala side. There are 3 rivers. Kaun se river hai? Periyar. Anybody else? And Pamba. These 3 rivers constitute, if you look at these 3 rivers, around them, they constitute 36 settlements only. That is how big the Cheras are. Itne chote se hain bas. 3 rivers and that's it. So they live in pockets in 36 settlements. Okay. They were powerful until they had a ruler. Cheraman Perumal. A very powerful ruler. 9th, 10th centuries. He is the most powerful ruler of the Cheras. But suddenly something happened. He had good friends. Since he lived on the port, many people came for trade. Many Arabs came for trade. So few people came from Arabia. And they told him about a man who has a beard and he talks about only one God without an idol. He was so impressed by the story that he converts to Islam and left for Mecca. And never came back. He just left. He left for Mecca. When that happened, the Cheras were at their weakest, and that is when Cholas destroyed the Cheras. Cholas will take Cheras also. Cholas will take Cheras also. But have you seen those old movies? When a hero is shot by 35,000 bullets and then 5 cannons, and then he's thrown in pieces like amoeba in the ocean, and then he comes back in the second half. That is Cheras. Cheras. 8 settlements survived. 8 settlements survived. And these 8 settlements, they started reviving it, but they shifted their capital. They came to a new port. They developed a new port, and the new port was called Calicut. All right, they continued. Calicut. Their old friends continued to be friends. Their old friends were Arabs. Arabs kept on coming to them. It became a very important economic center. It became a very important economic center. In 1347, a person from Morocco visits this place. His name was Ibn Battuta. He wrote a book. The name of the book is Rihala. In this book, when he goes back, in his book he writes that he visited the Calicut. So he has to give a name to the kingdom, no? So he says, this kingdom is Zamorins. That is how the name Zamorins came into existence. So Zamorins is nothing else but an extension of the Cheras. ठीक है यहां तक समझ में आ रहा है कहानी ओके नाउ कम्स 4th and 5th 4th and 5th are the easiest. Somebody was asking me a question, what about the Eastern Chalukyans? So there comes the 4th and the 5th, the 4 and the 5. 4th is Eastern Chalukya and the 5th is the Ganga kingdom, which is a Brahman kingdom. They too merged with the Cholas through matrimony. They got married in the Chola Empire, and that is how the Cholas took their territory also. So, even they got subsumed. Now we are left with the last piece, and that is 6th, which is easy, hopefully. Both. उस जमाने में बच्चे ज्यादा होते थे और ना भी हो तो लड़कियां तो चाहिए 4-5, तो सबसे एक लड़कियां बुला लिया कि चालुक्य तू भी आजा, गंगा तू भी आजा. जल्दी आना, रोक के रखा करो. डन. नंबर 6 उसके आने से पहले खत्म कर लेते हैं. Cholas. Capital Tanjore. And with Cholas developed a very interesting caste for the first time in South. They called themselves Brahman Kshatriya. ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय कैसे हो गए भाई? देवर क्षत्रियस, ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय कैसे हो गए? दे स्टार्टेड एज क्षत्रिय बट दे बिकेम ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय कैसे? I have actually given you the answer on the board. See? So why did they marry in Eastern Chalukya and the Ganges? And the Ganga kingdom? Because they wanted the title of Brahmins. That is when they become Brahman Kshatriyas, not before that. Before that, they are Kshatriyas. Anyway, coming to the story. Huh? Western Chalukya क्या थे? Western Chalukya क्या है? ब्राह्मण है, तो बाप का 2 बेटा. शाबाश. मुझे लगा मैं कुछ चीजें नहीं बोलता, मुझे लगता तुम्हें आता होगा, क्योंकि बाप का है तो बेटा का भी वही गोत्र होगा. कोई बात नहीं, होता है. अच्छे कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट लास्ट में वो सीजर ढूंढने लगते हैं, फिर सीजर बता रहे कैंची दे. होता है कभी कभी, इट हैपेंस. Vijayale was once working for the Pallavas. He is the one who broke out. He broke out. He is the guy. इसकी आंखों में शर्म था. He had some sense. So he will not revolt. He will wait for some time. He will establish a small kingdom, make it bigger, slowly, and gradually it will become a kingdom. After some time, there comes a ruler, Aditya. I will write Aditya the one, but you know him by the name Aditya Karikal. All right, he comes in 893. 893 CE. He crushes the Pallavas. Pallavas gone. Khatam. Pallavas gone. Then comes Parantaka. The first. All right. This guy is also known with the title Madhurantak. Is also known by the name Madhurantak. Madhurantak bole to the destroyer of Madurai, and Madurai was the capital of Pandyas. So basically he destroyed Pandyans. समझ आई बात? Then comes the next ruler, Parantaka. The second. So basically he is the Prakash Raj. All right. So he is lying on his sofa set and has got nothing to do because his sons are too great. So we cannot write like that. So we write, he consolidated. Consolidation. He consolidated the kingdom, the empire. All right. So because of Parantaka, Aishwarya will get angry. Prakash Raj is lying on the bed. Then comes his son, Arunmoli Varman. This guy, by 999 CE, takes the Eastern Chalukya, takes the Ganga, takes the territory of Cheras. In other words, by 999 CE, there is no other ruler standing on his way in South India. So he decides, why not call myself the only Raja? He calls himself Raja Chol and builds a temple, Brihadeshwara. Brihadeshwara temple, dedicated to Shiv, becomes the state temple built in Tanjavur, Ganpati Agraharam. So that is how the temple is built by Raja. If you want, you can also write, he goes to Sri Lanka for fun. Just like that. People say, become our Raja. He says, come on, you poor people. I know you will have troubles later. I don't want to be your ruler. He comes back. Raja has a son. His son is Rajendra. Rajendra the first. Now he thinks Papa has done everything. So what should I do? So he decides to go international. He takes the Sri Vijaya kingdom. Srivijaya Kingdom, Indonesia, and takes Sri Lanka. He does not stop. He says, okay, Sri Lanka is ours. He takes Sri Lanka. And the most important thing he should be known for is brought Ganga in a pitcher. Ganga from north to south. So when he goes to north, nobody will give him a cakewalk. No, he comes, sir, take Ganga. So he will have a fight. For this, he defeated Mahipal, the Pala ruler. Pala dynasty, Bengal. And that is how Rajendra is known as Gangai Kond, the Raja who brought Ganga. And so he establishes a new capital. And the new capital is Gangai Kond Cholapuram. That is Rajendra the First. यहां तक सब कुछ सही चल रहा था दोस्त. Everything was fine. But then comes a trouble. Cholas stopped producing males. There was no male child. अब क्या करें? So if you do not have a male, who will rule? So then they went to marry the Eastern Chalukyans. All right. So the next person who will become the emperor is in fact a Eastern Chalukya boy, but the Chola emperor. His name was Kulatunga. And he was the worst of the lots. From here the changes will begin. Kulatunga announced, anybody who is found worshipping Krishna and Vishnu will be put to death. Anybody worshipping Vishnu or Krishna will be put to death. He says, break all the temples dedicated to Vishnu and make it Shiva temples. He is an ardent Shiva worshipper. He hates Vishnu worshippers. And that is when he comes into direct conflict with the most popular saint of Vishnu, matlab Alvar saint, Vishnu. And he gives death punishment. He issues death order for Ramanujacharya. He is a Vishnu Bhakta. इस पे एक मूवी भी है कमल हसन की, है ना? नाम क्या है मूवी का? देख लिया है? नहीं देखना था, किताबें पढ़नी चाहिए. All right, it starts with the first scene and you understand. The first scene itself. The first scene gives you a clarity. Now Ramanujacharya, so he has many good disciples. So the disciples, what they do is, at night, at the middle of the night, Ramanujacharya was secretly sent to Karnataka. From Karnataka, he goes to Odisha and later he will die. Do you see what happened? Ramanujacharya is 12th century. You see what happened? No, 1016 to 1137, 12th century. So this man is shifted to Karnataka and from Karnataka he comes to Odisha. Okay. You see what happened? Bhakti movement reached north. That is the reason why we say that Bhakti entered North India in 12 centuries. That was a blessing in disguise. But before I go ahead, let me tell you 3 things about Ramanujacharya. Only 3 things. You just have to listen. Because it has got no concerns with medieval, it has concerns with current affairs. So Ramanujacharya had 4 guru. He had 4 teachers. Out of 4 teachers, one was a Kayasth, one was a Vaishya, Tambi. So one day, and he comes from a Brahman family. So one day the wife says, why do you touch the feet of your Vaishya guru? You are upper in the order of the hierarchy, in the caste. So Ramanujacharya goes into deep thinking. Because it's a good question. Next morning, he leaves his wife. The second important thing about Ramanujacharya is, he is the first saint to put the murti, the statue of a female bhakta, Andal, next to Sri Rangam. I mean, next to Vishnu. All right. That is the second thing. He gives importance to the women bhakta. Number 3, he had a ritual that he followed. Early morning when he will go to take a dip in the water, he will sit on the shoulder of a Brahman. After the dip he has taken, he would sit on the shoulder of a Shudra and then he will enter the temple. In other words, he opened the temple gates for. That is why you have a statue of equality for Ramanujacharya. Understood? That is the reason. Anyway, after Kulatung comes another idiot, Kulatung II. He establishes strict fourfold Varna hierarchy, Varna based village system. Every village followed the 4 Varna system very categorically. That is when a writer becomes important. He calls a person. He's a Shaivite. I will write the name. You will tell me what is the spelling. How do you pronounce it? I pronounce him Shekhilar. All right. You pronounce it Chekhilar. All right. This person is writing a book called Periya Puranam. Consider this as the constitution of the Cholas because it is going to establish the fourfold Varna system and that is going to destroy the order. आपने कहानी कहां से शुरू की थी? You started this story from here that there are merchants who are lower caste. Leave that lower caste, but they are very rich, they are filthy rich and they gave you taxes. Now you are making rules where the Shudras are not even allowed to come near you. You are not giving permission to the lower caste to do anything. Why would they listen? Suddenly, Cholas began to crumble and the last ruler, Rajendra III, could not save the Cholas and it collapsed in 1279. The Cholas collapsed. So we have done Darkan, now we have done South, now we are left with 3, North, West and East. पूरा भारत करेंगे हम. क्लास में घड़ी की तरफ बिल्कुल भी मत देखना. First day I left you exactly at 2.5 hours. A time will come when I will leave you at 3 hours 15 minutes, 3 hours 20 minutes. For the next class you will not even have time to eat. That's what I want. All right. Rajendra III. Now we go, choose East, West, North. North. Let's do North and East together because it is easy to understand. It is easy to understand. Once upon a time, there was a family which had many daughters. Once upon a time, there was a family which has many daughters and it is a rich family. Matlab old rich people, but now they are poor. All right. They had old zamindari, but they are poor, but their name is very popular still today. For example, Gandhi. So, old rich people. So there is a family of many daughters. So 2 boys come and say we will marry. One comes from Haryana, the other comes from Bengal. So one marries one daughter, the other marries another daughter. Okay? So what would be the relation between these 2 boys? Brother-in-laws. That family which had many daughters were Guptas. And one daughter was married in Haryana, and that is how you get the Vardhans, also called Pushyabhutis. They came from Haryana region, their capital was Thaneshwar. But later they will make another capital, they call it Kannauj, all thanks to the marriage. On the other side, the other daughter was married in Bengal. And that is how you get the gods of Bengal. So basically, Vardhans, that is Pushyabhutis, and gods of Bengal are relatives, a kind of relatives. Here, the founder was Prabhakar Vardhan. I will give you the name of that god ruler who is important for us. Only one. Okay. Prabhakar Vardhan is the founder. After his death, his son takes over, whose name is Rajyavardhan. He did not survive for long because even he was in hurry. All right. When Rajyavardhan takes over, that man becomes popular. His name was Shashank. All right. There is one thing which is common. What is common? The commonality is this god and this Vardhan, they both are relatives. Okay. After the death of Rajyavardhan comes Harshavardhan. 609 to 647. 605 actually. 5 में ही उसका ताजपोशी जैसा कुछ करना शुरू कर दिया इन लोगों ने. 605 to 47. Okay. Harshvardhan. The problem begins when Harshvardhan, who was a Shiva worshipper, becomes a Buddha worshipper. And from Buddha worshipper, he becomes Chinese form of Buddhist worshipper, Mahayana Buddhist. He becomes. So from Shaivism, he becomes Buddhist worshipper. From Buddhism, he follows one particular sect, which is Mahayana Buddhism. Whereas Shashank remained a Shiva worshipper. The problem will begin here. See, the problem is not that you are poor. The problem is your friend is very rich. That is the problem of your depression. All right. You are not clearing the exam. One thing. Your friend has cleared it. That is a bigger problem. No problem. पक्का तो आप पढ़ क्यों रहे सब?
CSC examination for public service. So if are doing public service,
let us remove salary from this public service. Will you still do public service? Remove the red light also. And the car. Will you do public service, sir? Exactly. पुखराज मूंगे में पहनने से वो नीलम नहीं हो जाता. अच्छा. Everybody here is part of the same feudal society which we had discussed in the first lecture. Feudal mentality. Mahayana Buddha. The problem with Shashank is that when he follows Mahayana Buddha, he gets a new friend. And the new friend is the Chinese ruler, Chinese king. His name is Tang or Tao Sung because he belongs to the Tang dynasty. Tao Sung. Tao Sung sends him lots and lots of money. He sends him gifts, silk, gold, which the Indians are at dearth of, remember. So with this money, Harshvardhan will have parties. Such parties you call Kumbh Mela. But this money was not sent for party. This was sent for something else. He sent gifts so that he can organize a Buddhist council. A Buddhist council is held also. A Buddhist council at Prayagraj. But as you can see, even Brahmins were allowed. So we do not call it a Buddhist council. We call it Kumbh Mela. So Made in China project. He has lots and lots of money. बहुत पैसे हैं इस लड़के के पास, हर्षवर्धन. So with that money, he starts giving importance to literature. People like Mayura is in his court. Mayura is a person, Homo sapiens sapiens. He writes a book, Mayura Shatak. He has another person in his court. His name is Brati Hari. Brati Hari. He writes another book, Vakya Pad. If you have read, this is the book of grammar, grammar of Sanskrit. Grammar. If you have read Sanskrit in school, Tita Anti Sita Tami Avama, that is Brati Hari. All right, Vakya Pad, how to construct a beautiful sentence. Number C. Ban Bhatt. Ban Bhatt. Harsha Charita. Harsha Charita and Kadambari. When you have money, even you start writing. So you also wrote, Harsh also wrote, Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Naganand. And Naganand. You see, lots and lots of money. Many inscriptions will come in this time period. And one more important development will happen in his time period. And that is Devanagari script. Devanagari script is seen for the first time period. And you call it Baskheda inscription. Baskheda. Baskheda inscription. For the first time, Devanagari script is seen. Harshvardhan is living the best of his lives, whereas his own brother-in-law, who is in Bengal, who still has not left Shiv, has turned poor. All right. He hates it. Shashank hates it. So what will Shashank do? He will go and cut the Bodhi tree. ये Bodhi tree को ही काट देगा. Because Bodhi tree is in his realm. उसकी तरफ पड़ता है. So he goes and cuts the Bodhi tree. And that is a problem. लिख लिया? तो लिख लो फिर उधर चलेंगे. Done? Everyone? Pakka? Shashank cuts the Bodhi tree. And that is when his death order is released. His death order is released. 3 people will come to kill him. The ruler from Kashmir, Lalit Aditya Muktapid. Lalit Aditya Muktapid, Kashmir. For the first time, the Chinese will enter India. Tao Sung, China. And the army of the Vardhans will enter. Just for one work, to kill Shashank. All right. This is a story created here. You cannot just go and kill somebody. So the story was created that Shashank has kidnapped Harshvardhan's sister, Rajshri. And that gives them that vantage point where they can go and kill Shashank. Shashank is dead. After the killing of Shashank, there is a very big gap. Almost for say 170 years, 150, 170 years, when Bengal is burning. There is a complete chaos in Bengal. Imagine you have 5 acres of kingdoms which only extend till 5 acres. So you have many kingdoms, hundreds and hundreds of kingdoms within Bengal. So the problem is faced by the people in Bengal, particularly by the merchants. Because whenever a merchant crosses 5 acres, he has to pay toll. And he has to use another currency because every kingdom has a different currency. It is very difficult. So a meeting is held. एक meeting बुलाई जाती है. A meeting happens of all the merchants, and merchants sit together and decide that this is not going to happen. All the kings should decide, you have to have one king, one coin. If you don't, we will not come to trade. Everybody comes to sit, and that is when they decide that there would be one king and his name would be Gopal. So Gopal is the first elected ruler. For the first time, you see a reversal of feudalism. Reversal of feudalism. So the most important thing about Gopal is he gives you one coin, one territory concept. He releases one coin. And that is how the merchants once again began to come to this country. After Gopal comes the most important ruler. His name is Dharmapal. Dharmapal is known for three things. Number one, he controlled Kannauj and Nepal, as well as the regions of Assam, Nepal, Assam. Number two, he built Odantipuri and Somapuri monasteries. Harshvardhan has already opened Nalanda University, which was already closed. Harshvardhan had opened it. So he gives you another university, Vikramshila. Vikramshila University, Bhagalpur, Bihar. So Dharmapal is important and celebrated also because he follows Buddha. Even Bengal became a center of the Buddhism. So that is your east and that is your north. Now we come to west. Why every ruler come to capture Kannauj? It's a good question. For that you have to go back to lecture number 1. I have taught you that also. You had made a map and I pointed 4 markets. And Kannauj is exactly in the center. So if you are in the center, you control all the 4 markets. Simple logic, no? Huh? Now we have a very important question. And that is West. The West is the last question. The West. To understand West, what is after Gopal? A straight line. First elected ruler. To understand West, first we have to understand the Guptas. The most formidable empire of India was Guptas. And they have a long extension. Gupta was a very powerful empire, but by the 550 CE, 6th century, their own family, chachas, no uncles, they divided Guptas into 4 pieces. Number 1 were called the Maitrakas. Maitrakas were towards Gujarat. So one part of the family of the Guptas stayed in Gujarat. The time period of Palas is almost 800s. All right, 9th, 10th century, by the 10th century, they will almost collapse. Maitrakas, that is why I said 150 years gap. Now, Maitrakas, after Maitrakas, you have Guptas of Mallav. Mallav Guptas. Mallav ko hi aaj aap bulate hain Malwa. The Malwa region. Then, the original family. No, the original family. So, you are the man and your brothers went. So, your main family, you are the main. You call yourself later Guptas of Magad. And the last is Maukhari. Maukharis, they are towards Bengal. You remember I told you that 2 boys married one family with many daughters. That family was the Maukhari family. So, Prabhakar Vardhan is married almost in the Maukharis. So, that is how this story is going to build itself. So, there are 4 families. They are ruling in 4 different parts. Why? Because they do not have money. They cannot have a very big staff. They do not have money to pay their charioteers, the swordsmen, the people who keep the gates. So once the staff, who is also cashless, they do not have cash, they want to break free. They want to break free. But how would the staff break free? Even they do not have cash. The Malik does not have cash. The staff does not have cash. So on what basis will they break free? They need strength. For that, you need to pay the money. So where you get this strength from? And the solution came in 550 CE. 550 CE. The solution came from the Gujarat and Rajasthan belt. When the Huns entered, even they did not have money, but they had two things. They had horses and they had iron. Who needs money if you have the strength? So the staff working for the Guptas made an alliance with the people who came from Gujarat and Rajasthan region. So they said, let's come together. You have the strength, we have the brains. We know how to run India, you have the strength. Let's come together. They came from Gujarat, so Gurjar. And they were the staffs. In Sanskrit, Pratihar. Gurjara Pratihar was formed. Dekha, Pratihar also did not come from Agni. They have come out from an alliance. दो समझ आया, परमार समझ आया और आगे समझते हैं. Gurjara Pratihar. The true founder of Gurjara Pratihar is none other than a person whose name is Mihir Bhoj. A very important 9th century ruler. Mihir Bhoj. A very powerful ruler. Mihir Bhoj. मुझे मिहिर भोज पसंद है. कारण है उसका. When South was saying that we have come from the court of Prabhu Shri Ram, and when Dakkan was trying to claim that they are Brahmins because they were reviving Brahmanism, Mihir Bhoj was like a jewel in the crown in those days. He said, I am not Brahman, I am not Kshatriya, I am Vishnu. Worship me. He does not confuse people. He says, where are you going? I am Vishnu. Come to me. Take my blessings. So he says, I am Adi Varha. That is why you have a Baraha copper plate inscription. And where is this inscription? Kannauj. The Baraha copper plate inscription of Kannauj belongs to who? Mihir Bhoj. Just by writing this line, you learn three things. क्या क्या सीखे? पहला, Mihir Bhoj is Vishnu, so they are Vaishnavites. When the world is becoming Shaivite and Buddhism followers, they are Vaishnavites. Number two, he has Kannauj with him. What is Varha? What is Varha? ऐसे बनाओगे अखंड भारत. You do not know who is Varha. Do you have a community Dadaji in your community? Go and sit with him for 5 minutes. Ask him to tell you stories. At least कुछ तो सीखोगे. All right. Adi Varha, Barha copper plate. The second thing that you learn that they have Kannauj with them. And the third thing that you learned from this is that Mihir Bhoj, they entered in 6th century. I wrote 9th century. It took 300 years for this alliance to take shape. 300 साल लगे इसमें. Because when did they enter? 6th century. When did he come into picture? And I am writing true founder. So it took almost 300 years. Understood? So the process is very gradual. It means so many things would have happened. Marriages would have happened. Battles would have happened in those 300 years. Anyway, this Mihir Bhoj is a very important figure. So important that we have two Arab sources. One dates to the 9th century, written by a traveler whose name is Suleiman. And the other is 11th century. The traveler is called Al-Masudi. Imagine, for 200 years, they only knew one Raja of India. Only one. Al-Juzr. Al means of Juzr matlab Gurjar, the Raja of Gurjar. And who is he? Mihir Bhoj. He is so powerful, a person cannot survive for 200 years. He is so powerful that even after his death, only his name is recorded in the Arab sources. He is such a powerful ruler. Mihir Bhoj, a very powerful man. Mihir Bhoj is known for reviving. He revived the art of playwright, the art of plays. And that is how in Gurjara Pratihar we have the most popular playwriter, Raj Shekhar. He wrote a play. After Kalidas, Raj Shekhar is most popular in India as a playwright. He wrote a book, Vidha Shal Bhanjika. Never forget this. Vidha Shal Bhanjika. In the court of Gurjara Pratihar. Everything was going fine. Everything was going fine. But again, Gujarat and Rajasthan region. Gujarat and Rajasthan region, the same region. 500 years later, 11th, 12th century, somebody was entering India. Arabs invaded. So if Arabs will invade and they are invading from Gujarat and Rajasthan side, who should be disturbed first? Gurjara Pratihar. So Gurjara Pratihar standing here, Gurjara Pratihar faced the brunt of these people, and the Gurjara Pratihar disintegrated into how many pieces? 36 pieces. And these 36 pieces are called Rajputs. Baat samjhe? So Rajputs did not come from Agni. न्यूट्रॉन प्रोटॉन के टकराने से बहुत सारे इलेक्ट्रॉनों पैदा हुए हैं. समझ रहे हो? यहां पे आयनिक बॉन्ड बन रहा है. इट सॉल्व्स डिस्प्यूट बिटवीन गुर्जरा एंड राजपूत्स ओवर मिहिर भोज. आई एम नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर, आई एम अ प्रॉब्लम क्रिएटर. आई एम कॉलिंग राजपूत्स डू नॉट एग्जिस्ट. मैं तुम्हारे अस्तित्व पे सवाल उठा रहा हूं लड़के. समझ रहे हो? गुस्सा ना चाहिए तुमको, पर क्या ही कर लोगे. जो सत्य है वो सत्य है. मेरा बात कोई सत्य कोई और कहेगा, पर कहेगा जरूर. समझे राजपूतों? दंगा हो जाएगा. उसका भी फायदा है. डेमोग्राफी में कुछ लोग तो कम होंगे, फिर पीपीपी बढ़ेगा, फिर खरीदोगे क्या? फिर मूर्ति खरीदोगे, फिर लड़ाई होगी कि तेरी मूर्ति तो है नहीं, फिर कुछ मरेंगे. साइकिल चलता ही रहेगा. Out of these 36, at least remember few. At least remember few. Number one are the Chandelas. Chandelas of Khajuraho. They are also called the Jejeka Bhukti. Jejeka Bhuktis. Here the founder is Nanuk, but the real founder is Dhanga. Why we are calling Dhanga the real founder? Because his name is written outside the Khajuraho temple. He built the Khajuraho temple. Chandelas. All right. Number two is Kalachuri. Kalachuri of Chedi. They broke from it. Kokal. Kokal. Number three is Guhilas. Guhilas. Their founder, Guhilas कहां से वो भी लिख लो भैया. Of Nandol. Of Nandol. Bappa Raval is considered to be the real founder. क्योंकि नाम में रावल लगा है, so I hope you can understand Rawalpindi. All right. It is this Bappa Raval who would be considered the real ancestors of a present day Rajputs. Sisodias claim that their ancestry is from Bappa Raval. Number four is the Tomars. तोमर्स आनंगपाल ऑफ दिल्ली, मतलब तोमर्स ऑफ दिल्ली, ऐसे उल्टा लिख ले यार, तोमर्स ऑफ दिल्ली। आनंद, कहां जा रहे हो? बैठो बैठो। नंबर 5, उठना नहीं है, आए हो अपनी मर्जी, जाओगे मेरी मर्जी से। क्लास है, हाँ जाओ ना फिर, मैंने कब रोका तुम? चहमांस, चहमांस of Ajmer. The founder is Govindaraj. And later this family will have a very important person, Prithviraj III, who will fight Ghor, Mohammed Ghor. अब ध्यान से समझो इसको. Tomars did not have a son. So they had to marry their daughter somewhere. So they married their daughter in the family of Chauhans. So Chauhans got Ajmer and दिल्ली, बिकॉज इनके बीच में शादी हो गई. नंबर 6 आर द सोलंकीज. सोलंकीज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड चौलुक्य, चौलुक्य ऑफ गुजरात. दे आर इन गुजरात. These Solankis had 3 capitals. They made 3 capitals. A, Anhilwada. Anhilwada. Number 2 is Mattamayura, and the third is Bhrigukach. Even if you do not remember all the names, I don't care, but do not forget Anilwada, because Anilwada has the famous Somnath, Veraval. They controlled Somnath, so do not forget that. 6 हो गए. 7वां मैंने आपको बता चुका हूं, परमार्स. They broke from Rashtrakutas. So therefore Parmars are the only exception and therefore the favorite of UPSC. हर साल एक सवाल परमार पर होता है. Parmars of Dhar. Parmars of Dhar. These Parmars are the only one. That is why I have chosen another color, because they came from Rashtrakuta. They are from Dhar, but they controlled a very important place, Mount Abu. And they are the ones who will write the Agni Kund story on a temple. On a temple. The writer was Upendra. So Upendra is considered to be the founder of Parmars. अब तुम बताओ, कोई कह रहा है that I came from Agni. Would you believe it? Historians do not believe it. So historians do not consider Upendra to be the founder. For them, the real founder is somebody else. You know him by the name Bhojaraj, 11th century. भोजराज, जिसके लिए कहते हैं कहां राजा भोज और कहां परफेक्ट. कास्टिस्टो. All right. So this is Bhojaraj. This Bhojaraj is considered the richest because he was not just any ordinary ruler. He was a maritime ruler. He was into maritime trade. He understood the importance of trade. And that is how he becomes the author of the only surviving book. Author of a book on shipbuilding. On shipbuilding. The name of the book is Yukti Kalp Taru. Yukti Kalp Taru. The only surviving book on shipbuilding. What is the significance of Mount Abu? ठंडा इलाका है, हिल स्टेशन है. हिल स्टेशन. इस हिल स्टेशन पर हिल है. और सबसे अच्छी बात यह है कि गुजराती बच्चे जब उनको थोड़ा सा रमन चमन करना होता है तो वो आबू की तरफ ही आते हैं, क्योंकि गुजरात तो हर तरफ मरुस्थल ही बना रखा है. वहां मरुस्थल है नहीं, जीवन में मरुस्थल है. बिकॉज एवरी डे इज ए ड्राई डे. हु आर जगजको भुक्ति? हु आर शर्मा? हु आर पांडे? इट्स द नेम ऑफ अ फैमिली. All right. The family of the Chandelas, Jajaka Bhukti. So we have these. Now we are left with one thing. Take out a fresh sheet. All right. Let us see if you can make it, because you have to keep on making such things as you progress. What was the saying that you suggested was cast as? I don't remember. I never said. You said. I did not say. क्या कह रहे हो? हाँ? युक्ति कल्पतरु. हाँ. There are two ways of making it. Either you let me make first and then make it, or अच्छा, अगर अपने से बना, साथ में बना रहे हो तो leave this much space here and then make. All right. So concentrate on the board. You have Western Chalukya here. Okay. From Karnataka till here, they are here. From them, a family member will break, and in Andhra region, they will make Eastern Chalukya. Correct? But from Western Chalukya, somebody will break out and will give you Rashtrakuta. So Rashtrakuta is here, Maharashtra region. From Rashtrakuta will come out Parmars, and Parmars are north. यहाँ पर परमार हो गए. Understood? Now comes south. South में you have Chera, you have Pandyas, you have Pallavas. This is the region. Here you have two. Here you have two. This is Odisha. This is Bhaumakara. Bhaumakara. Interestingly, luckily it is out of syllabus. PT, not optionals. And this is Ganga of Odisha. So what happens? The Cholas will marry Ganga, take Eastern Chalukya, half of the Cheras, leaving some portion, rest will come to the Cholas. This is the region of the Cholas until 1279. Okay. On the up, I will write V लिख देता हूं. Let's change it. V for Vardhan. V for Vardhan. This is Nepal. This is Assam. This is Bengal below. So here you have Bengal. Bengal has Assam with them because you have written Dharmapal had Assam. All right. Shalbhav. Kamarup. The old name of Assam. And Nepal is with Dharmapal. Okay. Now Gurjara Pratihar will be formed. The whole region which you see, which is blank, is Gurjara Pratihar. They will expand here. Then they will break into 36 pieces. Let me make it, then you draw. Okay. Kalachuri is here, west of Jabalpur. Some portion of the Vardhan will be taken here. Chandelas. This is Garhwal. Garhwal. This is Tomar, because Tomar will have Delhi. They will take over the Vardhans. And when Vardhans will marry their daughter to Chauhan family, the Chauhan family will extend and will take all this. This is Chauhans, CHAH in yellow. बहुत convoluted है ये. After all, it is Kali. Then you have this region. This is Solanki. Solanki is Gujarat. Yellow to green ले ले यार. This is Gohilas. Bappa Rawal. This is Hindu Shahi. Turki Shahi. Kallals. Karkota. And the final, हरा ही ले ले, लोहारा. समझे बाबू? इसी को कहते हैं द मैप ऑफ कलयुग. circa 750 to almost 1200. The map of Kali Yuga. The lecture is over. Click a picture, keep it for yourself. ये किताबों में नहीं होता. ठीक, ले लिया? तो पिछले लेक्चर में और इस लेक्चर में आपने ये सब किया. You have understood how this board was formed. That is what Kali Yuga is. And that is what is called early medieval feudal structure. जाइए, तक लिया.